you just gotta jump in. There's no way you're gonna learn it until you do it. And if you want to be there and that opportunity arises, man, jump.
Yeah, you can't say no.
Yeah.
You can't say no. And I can tell, I think we're really, really blessed in that regard, because there are a lot of people who naturally, that's just, you want to think first, you want to take your time and whatever, but there will be someone right on your heels that says, move out of the way. I'll do it. I don't know what I'm doing either, but
Yeah.
you're taking way too long. So
Well,
you just have to say yes and figure it out.
A lot. Welcome, guys, to the Beltran Podcast. Today we have a very special episode with a good buddy of mine, a local entrepreneur. This is Georgette Angelos, owner of Chuck's Seafood. Welcome.
Thank you, Al. Love you so much.
Yeah, man. Super stoked to have you here. I know when it was first an idea and I told you we were doing it, I was like, you're definitely going to be on it. So now you are. So this is very cool.
Yeah, this is epic.
Yes, man. And this is what I like about doing this show. Not only do I learn a lot about people and, a little bit of their background and kind of what drives them, but I learn a lot of tips and tricks and things that I can implement and take my life to the next level. And a lot of times for the people listening, that's where it's at. These people can listen to us and, everybody's got something to give.
That's why we love you, Al, because you're humble and you're just here to learn and open to the experience.
Yeah, man.
Love that.
And it's fun, where we're at today. A lot of times, I look back to when I was a child and, there's little things that I used to do that now I'm like, God, man, like I'm still doing those things. And as far as when you were young, I know you grew up in a family of entrepreneurs.
Of course. Yeah.
Did you ever see any signs, or did you ever think when you were young, say, I know what I'm going to do when I get older. I want to be the boss. Or did you ever think of that?
Yeah, I think it's really funny now, because now I have a daughter and she's 4, and I see her strutting around the restaurant and strutting around any establishment ever like she owns it, just because we do have an establishment that we do own. And people go, that reminds me so much of you when you were little. And it all starts to tie together. You're like, oh, wow, I did used to walk through everywhere like I owned it and knew everybody, and just kind of had this mayoral stance on life of just like, shaking hands, kissing babies. So I think the entire time, and it was good because my mom was in a very opposite end of the scene. My dad was a restaurant owner and owned Chuck's Seafood for the last 40 years. Whereas my mother was a judge and an attorney, and so I was raised with both lives, very opposite ends of the spectrum. And it all came full circle, and it led me to where I am today and how I am and how I present myself. So yeah, it's really funny because it did start at a very, very, very young age.
Yeah, you definitely have that presence, man. You show up, like you get out of the car and it's like, you could have your own TV show. You know what I mean? Like you get out of the car, it's like this presence, like, all right, something's happening. I love it. It's so cool.
Yeah, something usually is definitely always happening.
Good, bad, or indifferent. Something's going down, I'm like ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you got into the workforce, when you started getting your first jobs, like what was your direction? What'd you go into first?
This is gonna lead into more laughs. So I attempted college.
Okay.
My sister was a Florida State graduate, so in just guilty by association, I was up at Florida State from 15 years old and on. So by the time I got there, I was just kind of bored with the whole scene. I'd already done it. Like I already kind of partied and hung out, and she was in a sorority and whatever. So I already saw all that, and I had a job with Governor Chris at the time as an intern, because of course I wanted to become an attorney like my mother and go into that whole scene. And it took about 6 months of me wearing a dress and heels at the Capitol, and I was like, this ain't it.
Yeah.
Just for me specifically. But it was a really great opportunity, and it was really great to be a part of it, because I realized it kind of got me to weed out the direction I was going in. So I moved to Los Angeles pretty soon after that.
Okay.
Right when I turned 19, pretty much. And and it was just news after that. So I got my first job. I was at a party in Beverly Hills. It was maybe my second week living in Los Angeles. And I was outside, kind of taking it all in. It was very surreal. I'm looking at, the whole cityscape of Los Angeles. I'm up in the hills. It was great. And this guy walks out and just starts talking to me. We start talking about music and started talking about, what I wanted to do there. And I said, I want to be a concert photographer. I want to shoot live. I want to shoot live music. And he looked me up. All right, cool. Do you already have a job? Do you own a camera? I was like, yep, I own a camera. Yeah, I have, blah, blah, blah. I did not own a camera. That was a lie. And and it turned out that he was the guy that discovered Sublime and started.
Oh,
and
wow.
he owned Silverback music management label. His name is John Phillips. I love him dearly.
Yes.
Gave me my first job in LA. So I became the house photographer for Slightly Stupid, Revolution, Dumpster Funk, The Expendables, pretty much everyone that was under that label.
Wow, like all my favorites.
Like all my favorites.
That's
so I
awesome.
nonchalantly, it was kind of like, yep, okay, cool, break. I woke up the next day like, what just happened? Was this guy for real? I went out, I bought a camera. I looked up videos on YouTube on how to use it, and it was kind of off to the races after that. So it was really funny because my first two shoots, my first shoot I did was with Fishbone. So all the ska punk people know who that is, and it was just epic. I just did like a stage dive off, like threw my camera to the side, like I knew what the hell was going on, and I
being in the moment.
Yeah,
though. Let me take it all in.
Yeah, it was epic, and it was a learning curve. I definitely, there was like some shots I turned in, they're like, what the hell is this? But then like you learn kind of what people want to see, and yeah, so I got a knack for it.
Yeah. Brad and I were just talking about this. You just gotta jump in. There's no way you're gonna learn it until you do it. And if you want to be there and that opportunity arises, man, jump.
Yeah. You can't say no.
Yeah.
You can't say no. And I can tell, I think we're really, really blessed in that regard, because there are a lot of people who naturally, that's just, you want to think first, you want to take your time and whatever, but there will be someone right on your heels that says, move out of the way. I'll do it. I don't know what I'm doing either, but you're taking way too long. So you just have to say yes and figure it out.
A lot of time, it started with your awareness of yourself, being in the dress, and you knew yourself, and I don't know if that comes naturally or if some kids are raised like that, but you're like, what, this is not me, and I don't want to do this. But there's a lot of people that get in that position and they're like, well, it's safe. I know I hate it. I know I'm going to be miserable, but I know what I'm going to do tomorrow. There's a dichotomy there, it's like, what's right, what's wrong.
It's
I do
scary.
what's fun.
Yeah. I do too. And, there are those times where, because my photography job turned into so much more, because then I went into film, and I'm sure we'll be able to touch down on that. But, the real situation that happened in Tallahassee was I was either walking to lunch or I was walking back to my place or whatever. And again, dress heels, I had a bunch of day of paper pushing, and T-Pain was shooting a music video
Oh, wow.
down on one of the streets. And I got in the shoot and kind of pushed my way into it. And, and I don't know if I ever made it into that music video, but I was there for like an hour, pretty much like pushed my lunch break, and I was like, whatever, so it was just so cool because I saw lights, camera, action. Everybody was down there, and like T-Pain and whatever. So it was just like such a Tallahassee moment. But wherever that whole film group was going, I was like, take me with you, I just saw so it's just funny the way that different things speak to you. And it's like, I haven't thought about that memory in a very, very long time, but it's just very serendipitous and full circle when it really boils down to it, because that's what I went on to do.
And so your father's really into music.
Yes.
So do you think that had something to do with it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and my mom too, my mom's the coolest. And so we had a photography book, Linda McCartney, Paul McCartney's wife, who unfortunately passed away from cancer many, many years ago, but we had her photography book. So it was Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. I mean, these black and white, beautiful, beautiful photos that Linda McCartney took. So when we were young, I was just flipping through the pages of this thing and being like, I want to be there. Like, I want to be backstage. I want to be in the scene, because it's just this whole other world, which and you've been a part of too. And it was a lot of that influence, the music. My dad's that person. Name this band, and to this day, he'll offer anyone that works for us, he'll say, I'll give you $1,000 if you can name all 4 Beatles. And all the girls are like,
Yes.
So I'm looking at them like, you're blowing it. You should know this. So we've just been super hip to just rock and roll, rock and roll to like a T. I still listen to classic rock every day.
And
So yeah,
this is to all the parents out there. Let your kids expose them to as much culture as you can.
absolutely.
Music, art, photography, because from that, a lot of times until you see it, you don't find yourself. So just they're like, oh, don't listen to that kind of. Let them listen to all the music.
Yep.
Let them. If you see your kid going into something, don't say, well, I don't know if I want you to going down that route, because those are the people that what's the word, that compromise their happiness.
Sure.
For that safe security feel.
I think that in parenting especially, and in a scenario like that, it's all about your the communication without over communicating. Like if I saw my child going in whatever kind of weird direction, especially with music, and I was like, okay, I need to just take them to a show. Like I need to take them to a concert. I got to show them why this is the coolest. Base your point off of that. You just can't say no and just don't not have a reason. It's like, no, but this is the reason why this is the coolest, and someone who can play musical instruments and a piano and the drums and guitar is the sickest. Like if you don't want your kids listening to rap, you better show them why rock and roll is cool.
Yes, there you go. Great
quick.
Point.
Yeah,
Great point.
I totally agree. I don't want, what I mean. I'm not like with it. I like listen to everything, but on that stance, like you better like turn it around.
Well, there's certain verses and certain things that are said that, hey man, that 7-year-old shouldn't listen to.
Sure.
Yeah, but Caitlin, the mother of my children, she's great at that. She will explain why and show examples, and just it goes a long way. It's
no doubt.
Can't be a no parent. No, why? Because I said so.
Yeah,
it doesn't go far.
I'm gonna start figuring. And then you start just at least I did.
Yeah.
Anytime it was just like a flat no, I'm like, I'm gonna figure out why, because this obviously seems like way too good.
Oh yeah.
Way too good to be true.
So music. How long ago did you move back? Because I remember you. I remember you from the Greek festival. Truthfully, that's where I first met you. I don't know. I think I'm 15 years older than you or something. So you were, one of the part of the show. You would come up and do the Greek dancing and
Yeah, that was a blast. So born and raised Fort Pierce.
Yeah.
Truck Seafood. The whole scene. My family's Greek, so we went to that church and Greek dance. And again, another thing. In
Did
the
you just go to the church?
I
mean, you guys ran the church. It seemed like you were the family. Like it was like your event.
Yeah, there was back then, and it's so funny because it really just so goes to show you my dad's one of 8, my mom's one of 6. There's a million of us, just is what it is. Like everybody had a bunch of kids, and then we're like the rogue group where we're like, like one kid's fine, but. So times are different, but yeah, then it was fun. And again, that was another thing where we were just loving the spotlight. In Greek culture, people are, my dad and my uncles would come up with stacks of cash and just like, throw ones up in the air, and it's just culturally. So yeah, it was always a big to-do. But yeah, when I left, I left and I was in Los Angeles for almost 12 years.
Okay.
And I came back to Fort Pierce almost 4 years ago.
Nice, nice, man. Came back swinging.
I
love it.
came in hot.
Yeah. So I remember one of the first things that we talked about when you were getting back was a cool project you were doing with about the movie with Johnny Depp. And what was his nickname?
Boston George.
Boston George. Yes. So tell me about that. So you started with the photography, but that's almost like more like journalism or writing or kind of, how did that shift take?
That shift happened, for real overnight. I was hired on as a behind the scenes photographer for a music video.
Okay.
And me and the producer got along. We became dear friends. Again, still very good friends with him. And he was just like, I really love your hustle. I think that you'd do really well on this end of things, in film as a production assistant, be my production assistant on the next shoot.
Nice.
And then it all just was like, this snowball effect afterwards, where I just worked my ass off a lot on a lot of different sets, from commercials to music videos to whatever it is. And then I got my big break for the most part, because I was hired on as, it was the beginning concept of Snoop Dogg's media label called Mary Jane.
Okay.
And we just started shooting shows and, short series kind of stuff. And I got a phone call. I was about to leave for Tokyo, and the head of production got another job, and they said you're the only person who knows what's really going on here on like the
Oh,
video on the
wow.
video production end of things. And they made me the head of production for Snoop Dogg's media labels, and I was 24 then. So
So
it was
badass.
wild yet again. Did not know what I was doing,
Yeah.
but made it work. You know, because that's when you turns into like very, you're responsible for a lot of stuff. You know, scheduling to, you know, just everything. You know, getting everyone to set on time and the call sheets and the this and that, and then you're taking care of the clients. And I was, you know, making sure that Snoop was filming on time, and it's all these other things. That's you again you have to say yes to, and you figure it out, and if
Yeah.
there's a mistake that's made, whether it's yours or not, it's your fault, and you
Oh,
just
yeah.
learn from that and you keep moving.
Accountability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
big big shout out to accountability, man.
Yes.
That has been the theme this week. I'm like, please everyone just take accountability for everything. So yeah, just that was it. And I was shooting I think Dog was doing like TED Talks, was doing like a TED Talk at like some big cannabis conference.
Okay.
And some guy like kind of pulled me aside that I had met before. You know, the cannabis world in Los Angeles is huge, but it starts to get smaller when everyone's kind of filming the same kind of content. And he said, "Hey, do you want to meet George Young, who the movie Blow is based on?" And I was like, "Yes,
Yes,
absolutely! Like this
please.
is going to be epic, you know, because no one really knew that he was out of prison and whatever." So I walked up. I said, "Hey, George, what's up? I'm Georgette. I'm the female version of you, you know, because George and Georgette." And he said, "Well, I like how the female version of me looks a lot better." And
Smooth.
yeah, and we laughed, and you know, we took this great photo that I still have that's like, you know, is framed on my wall in my house. And yet again, little did we know, but it was like this whole crazy thing happened after that. And he wanted to do his life story before he died. That same guy that introduced us, you know, pretty much got me on the phone with him, and after a few very strong heart to hearts, he signed his life rights over to me and my co-producer Chris, and we kicked
Oh
it off after
my
that.
God.
Yeah. So right before I moved home, I was 5 months pregnant with my daughter when I was filming with Johnny Depp. I stayed at his house for a week and brought him and George back together, and we went out. And you know, Johnny's a part of a band called the Hollywood Vampires, so I took George out there to see him, and it was Joe Perry, Johnny Depp, Alice Cooper,
Nice.
like all in one room with me and and George. And it's just again one of those moments you're like, okay, you just gotta we're gonna act like we've been here before and just
Yeah.
like keep the dumb look off your face, and you know what I mean. So
Yes.
yeah, so filmed with Johnny Depp, and we finished our docuseries, and that was it. So I moved home like, I don't know, I guess a few months after that, and then the pandemic happened, and then we all know what happened after that. So
Oh yeah. Wow. So you came back with a tall task.
yes, a very tall task. Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, so a lot of things were going on, and it was great, and I'm home, and things couldn't be better. So
Yeah. So do you have any itches to go back into that, or do you have any other projects in that realm that you're working on?
yeah, I actually do. It's I don't like to talk about things until they're happening. But it's still things that are very exciting. That heavily have to do with again extending on George's
Oh
life rights
wow.
for his
Okay.
life story. Um, I always have like, you know, some other irons in the fire because
Yeah.
a lot of people have a lot of great stories to tell, and I've written a lot of great things, and it's really funny because you know every week at Chuck Seafood is like its own episode of a series. So I've been like writing
Yes.
that internally. I know people are gonna start catching on to like saying something, and I'm like, just give me 1 second. I go back and write something in my notebook,
Oh, that's
you
awesome.
know, where I'm like, all right, cool. What were you saying? You know, like let's fit.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I mean, you know,
The
you could probably
restaurant
wite a story about your life and
business.
we could produce it and
I,
just like
I,
kick it off, you know? So,
yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
don't know if I want to put that out yet, though. You know,
Yeah, right. We want to get a little bit older, a little bit
get
wiser.
a little bit further, then yeah,
Yeah,
then I'll let everybody know.
I know.
So the restaurant business. Tell me, do you have any? I'm gonna start off by saying what you're doing with Chuck's is epic.
Thank you.
I love the direction of everything. I mean, everything that's happening there is super cool. It's always been great, but times change, and I mean, what you're doing is awesome.
Thank you.
Did you have any experience with this, or how'd you come in and in the hardest time to be in the restaurant business ever?
It was again, you know, it's those times in your life where you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Why am I here? Why is this happening? I've worked so hard for things to go this way, and now they're going this way, and it's just picking yourself up by your bootstraps and realizing that that's the task at hand and that's what you have to do. So I just took everything that I had learned in the past decade of running, running crews and running sets and of 100+ people with a lot of money on the line, and treated the restaurant the same way. I mean, of course, this is near and dear to me. The Chuck Seafood is my home. I took, I've said it in other, publications before. I took naps on those bar stools,
Oh yeah.
as a child, and my entire life happened at Chuck's. So being back in there and being in the position that I'm in as a representation of ownership, if you will, like I am one of the owners, so is my sister, and so and of course my dad. But I'm just kind of the day-to-day operations
Yeah.
girl. So things have just gone extremely well because you take something that you love and you want to just as like, more of like an existential analogy, I suppose. Every single day you should better yourself, no matter what. I'm a great person. You're a great person. But if you don't wake up the next day and try to evolve and better yourself, then you just, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So the restaurant's the same way. And it was very, very hard because, they did know that I was, one of the daughters that came back from Los Angeles, and everyone was, clenching on for dear life. Like I was going to change the infrastructure inside and out. And, people kept telling me, don't change the shrimp. I'm like, why would I change the entire basis of the restaurant? But I
Yeah.
get it. I get the fear. I
Oh yeah.
understand that. But so it was a lot of hurdles. I still deal with it. It's still, the skepticism is there, but, I think I've continued to just be very true to the community and true to what I know is best, and while still keeping the authenticity of the restaurant. And yeah, things change, it's not
Yeah.
as female ownership and male ownership are very two different things, and they have to be
Yes.
tackled two different ways. And I would love to kick it and have all my homies and do all the things at the bar, but I take the job very seriously and do things very seriously, and I just try to continue to just evolve,
Yeah.
and keep up with the times, so
One of the things that speaks volumes about ownership of a restaurant is staff. How you guys have been able to keep staff stellar. I mean, the really some of the best in the business on the whole Treasure Coast, because it's a tough business
yeah.
to keep them for so long, coming in there proud of where they work,
Hmm.
going above and beyond. Like that says a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm just giving you props on that because
Thank
I
you.
love all your staff, and they've been there for a long. You have your core people, and that just says so much,
Yeah.
man.
Such a big shout out to Javier, who's been with us for
I
25
love
years.
him.
Maggie, who's our fry cook has been there for 15, 16 years. I mean, there's just instrumental pieces to the puzzle, and the new staff, even like, people that are newer or whatever, they understand that there's something to be proud of by working there. And someone asked me the other day that also runs, a relatively large company in town, what do you do for your staff to keep the morale up, because I guess, because everyone's kind of going through hard times right now. We had a slow summer. It's,
Hmm.
this and this, you have to make cuts. You have to do all these things that, of course, you want your staff to understand, but of course everyone's looking out for themselves, as they
Yep.
should. But what helps is they walk in and the first thing that they see is me either with an apron on or on the floor and cleaning and doing everything from A to Z before I ask them to do it. Before I say,
Love
okay,
it.
moving forward, what you just saw me doing, come down here, let's look at this together. They know that I'm there to get my hands dirty. I would never ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. The patrons will tell you the amount of times they've walked in on me, like, cleaning the bathrooms is like,
Yeah.
and it's all because it's like I treat it like my home. And at some point you do expect your staff to do that. Not everybody's going to bring that kind of passion to the table and that enthusiasm, but very, very lucky because majority of them, 95% of everybody does.
Oh yeah,
So
and you
it's
feel
good.
it. I mean, you feel it when you're
Yeah.
there. And I don't know if you guys know, we're also a part of a 501c, which is something really cool. The Rising Tides Foundation. It's with Lori Murphy. She's been a guest. Actually, we just released her episode last week. So I don't know
Sweet.
if you've seen it. Yeah, we just
Oh, I can't
released
wait.
it. You could check it out. But so is Lori, Georgette, and myself. And this is just another way, I guess, another way to be able to contribute back into the community. Like to me, the way I see it, doing events and anything I could do like that, it's as much as it's a business, it's giving people a place to go. It's giving another option for entertainment, and with the 501c, it's just another avenue,
Yeah.
to be able to give back and be a part of be a part of the community. And there's a lot of other 501cs. And the cool thing, the way we're doing it, we're actually picking other 501(c)s that are doing amazing things, and we could raise a little bit and say, here you go. You guys love what you're doing. You keep on doing. Love what you're doing. You keep on doing. So
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no, um, maybe it was my dad even that said it to me the other day. He goes, I love how much of a camaraderie you have with all of the other restaurant owners.
that's
There's no
huge.
competition. There's nothing. No one can go to Chuck's 6 days a week, nor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want every restaurant to be good. We want all the businesses to be doing well. We want all those things, but that doesn't mean that we have to limit ourselves to just what already exists. Like we
Yeah.
should continue to expand and lift each other up and build other opopportunities.
Well,
We got to keep expanding.
there's I always look at it. There's two types of mindsets. You have the greed mindset, then you have the abundance mindset.
Yeah.
And it's like you could either say, all right, we got to keep it. We got to keep our people. We can't let our people go somewhere else. Or let's grow. Let's share. We wanna do awesome. We want them to do awesome. When they do awesome, people are gonna see us. When we do awesome, people are gonna see them. And when you combine that energy with everybody, it's a completely different game, a different energy. And like you're saying, with that camaraderie, like that's everything, man. You want that energy to spread. When that spreads, the people feel it. They come in town, they're like, this is the place,
Yep.
It's a beautiful thing.
My future projects and future things that I'm trying to do, again at Chuck's or with the community is, I I have a trailer that's how we started breakfast. We started doing breakfast a year ago.
I
And I
remember.
started out of a trailer and it was freezing cold and
I
and we had the
remember.
griddles and like the
Yeah.
griddles wouldn't stay lit because it was like too cold in the wind but it was awesome and everybody loved it, but everybody loved it so much that it turned into now the restaurant is fully open and operational for
Yeah.
breakfast. Be careful what you wish for, but so it's going really really well. Now that turned into brunch. So it's just little ideas like that. Like let's just take something that's cool and fun that we see in other places. Anywhere that I've ever traveled. You look at San Francisco, Los Angeles, Miami, New York City, and the food trucks are the thing. And they can make a food truck or a mobile bar out of anything. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And just the sickest. So it's like again, looking outside of those limitations, and being like, cool. Now I can just give the people what they want on this end of the property and this end of the property and here, there, and everywhere. So we've been doing crazy amounts of catering, which we never did before. Crazy amounts of private parties that we've never done before.
Wow.
People renting out the restaurant, top to bottom or whatever. And
Fundraisers.
yep, fundraisers, so many fundraisers. It's just been going really well. It's just kind of just taking, looking around your community and looking around and saying what do the people want and what do we need, which me and you are doing right now, and we're very
Mhm.
good at, and that's it. Just
Love it.
looking for the holes and trying to fill them and expand on it. So that's pretty much where I'm at constantly.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the people listening to this, a lot of them are probably in a place to where they think they know what they want to do. They're probably stuck in a job that they hate. And what kind of advice do you have for these people? Like just from listening to you, I mean, we're a lot alike in a lot of ways, and from what I've gathered, it's, you got to take the risks. But what do you, what do you have? Any words for these people?
I have. It's so hard because if you would have, asked me this a few years ago, I'd say just go for it, and I still say that absolutely. But I do know that people have, they have children and they have, bills to pay, and it's so, so, so hard. I think my best advice is time management. It's
Huge.
very, very hard to do, but it's about waking up a little bit earlier, or staying up a little bit longer, even though it's hard and you've had a long day, to just put an hour or two into your dreams and your passions, so you can just feel some of those obligations to yourself slip away, because they start to pile up so much on top of your stress where you're like, oh my gosh, and I also love doing these things, but I don't have any time to do it. It's all about, I think it's that. And I have the same problem too. There's a lot of times that I get home from the restaurant and I'm so tired, and I know that I have to get on my laptop and start writing. Like I know I have things that I have to do and agendas that I've set for myself that I need to get to and fulfill. But it's really just that. It's time management.
Making
and,
time for it.
Yeah, making time for yourself, even when it's hard, and realizing, because then at the end of the week, you're like, damn, I put 5 hours into myself this week, and me and you both like to work out and whatever too. So I think it's that, your mental is so important, and working out to getting your brain working in a way that, again, is fulfilling to yourself outside of just, the paper pushing or the day to day or the 9 to 5 or whatever it is. So on top of saying taking a leap of faith for yourself, if you have the ability to, if you don't have the ability to do it right away, start to build that pillow, start to build that cushion. So when you're ready to jump, you're not just jumping into nothingness and letting, fate take its course. Like, you're like, okay, cool. I've spent the last 6 months, 5 hours a week, 7 hours a week, you know what I mean, on this. And now it went from nothing to not just taking a leap of faith, but now you're jumping into kind of like this little bed, like this bed that you made for yourself. Like, okay,
I love that
I already
so
have,
much. Yep.
I have some things that I've done for myself over the course of 6 months, which is nothing, but it's better than waking up a year later and you're like, I haven't done anything. And I still am upset and I still wish I had these things to do. Like, you got to be disciplined for a little bit, maybe like, I mean, I'd say the same thing with myself. Like, it's, you don't want to, if you have to give up, going out with your friends or going to the bar for 6 months, like, you just got to do that, because then you're going to have way more fun out when you're like, and I got all this other cool shit going on.
Just those little bites, it's a lot of time. And that's what I like about going to the gym. It's like every day when I finish that, I'm already in the mode of, hey, I'm bettering myself.
Yep.
What else can I do? It's those little things. Take one little thing. And like myself, I do, I sell roofs, sell real estate, I do the events. It's not like eventually I'd love to have my investments just working for themselves and I could do whatever I want every day. That's the goal. But right now, yes, it's a different type of work, and it makes total sense. This is a very realistic approach, and that's some great advice. A lot of times people think, oh, just go off the deep end, and you got kids and you got rent. No, you gotta be responsible.
Yeah.
But that goes with time management. Keep what you got, but you gotta feed that.
Yeah.
I love that. Lay the pillow. That's a way I've never heard it put.
Yeah.
But start filling that pillow with some feathers.
Stuff the cushion.
Stuff it. Yeah. I like the feathers in my pillow.
Yeah, totally.
It's a little more comfy.
Dad, you're not supposed to be laughing that hard at this. So, no,
stuff
for
the
sure.
pillow.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a shirt. You got to get a logo, and it's gonna say "Stuff the pillow."
Yeah. Do that.
No.
We have a lot of shirts.
I know. We do. We gotta start getting this stuff on paper. New business. So
that's my advice.
I love it.
That's my advice. It doesn't have to be so extreme, but also, here's my other piece of advice: is stop making excuses.
This is another shirt. It's another shirt.
That's definitely already a shirt. There's no way there's not a stop making excuses shirt. But for real though, stop making excuses.
Nobody wants to hear that.
No.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Not one person wants to hear it, because we all could be doing it. We could all be making so many excuses.
Yeah, and it's good to vent. You have the people in your life. It's good to vent, and that's healthy. But you're 100% right.
No, you should only vent about something bothering you one time.
Yeah.
And say, okay, cool.
What can I do about it?
Yeah. What am I gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Point in case, what happened on Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, oh boy. So yeah, the only thing, if anyone knows, this is a great analogy actually.
Yes.
If a car runs in, if a car runs in to the side of your business, okay, if there is a hole in your entire side of your business, you just got to keep going.
Yes, you're like, all right, can't sit here. You can sit over here. Just can't sit right here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just work around it.
Yeah.
Okay. I said thank you to people for coming to breakfast through the hole.
Yeah.
Do anything. I was like, thanks for coming. So that's great. I mean, that's really it.
And we had the first brunch.
Yeah.
Planned and everything. And there wasn't even a thought of it not happening.
I didn't even text you and tell you that a car ran into the building. I just was just like, what's up? Good morning. Yeah. The DJ goes up here. So that's it too. That's again going back to making excuses. Like, unless like someone got hurt.
Yeah.
I
mean, they're out there.
What is? Yeah. Clean up the mess. Move on.
I love
nothing else. Nothing happened. There's nothing that's irreversible here that happened. When someone gets hurt, it's irreversible. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You also have to deal with that. But how many messes, figuratively and literally speaking, that I've cleaned up.
Perfect.
That was nothing, my guy. Like that was just
Jeff called
day.
me. He's like, dude, did you see what happened? I'm like, no. I was like, is everything okay? He's like, Well, I was like,
He's like, I don't know what it looks like before that. I don't know things usually look like here, but I'm not assuming this is it.
no, perfect. That's a great note to leave it on, Georgette. It's like, just keep on plugging, man.
Yeah.
Stuff happens. Life gets hard. Man, dude, just, it already happens. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What's the solution,
Yeah, exactly. People still, breakfast still happened, brunch popped off, and then we had a really nice dinner and everything was fine. There was a lot of questions, but I mean, that's it. You just keep going.
Yeah, I love it,
Yeah.
man. Well, we're gonna leave it on that, guys. Just keep going. I love it. I love everything about this, and that was the perfect way to end it because, somebody just backed into the front of your business, and you're like,
Yeah.
let's just go this way. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, Georgette, I definitely want to have you back. There's a lot of cool stuff we could talk about. It was a really cool intro, so
sure.
I'd love to have you be a regular guest on this. And we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about.
So
But
much.
guys, thank you guys for tuning in. The Al Beltran Podcast. You can find it Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, YouTube, all the stuff. You guys, we'll see you soon.